Blessed Anna Maria Taigi is one of the most incredible mystics of the Catholic Church, and few people know about her, which is why this is our 7th video on her life. We started a series on her life about 3 years ago, and we haven't added to the series since. So this is video number 7 of our series on Blessed Anna Maria Taigi. But to get you caught up on her life, in case you're new to this, she's amazing. Firstly, most of her life was spent in Rome. She was born in 1769 and died in 1837. She was then beatified in 1920. Okay, so that's the context of where she's placed in history. She's a relatively new blessed, a new friend in heaven for us. But what makes her life remarkable, besides her amazing virtue, is this supernatural gift. God gave her this gift for 30 years of being able to see this glowing orb or glowing disc just above her head, just out of reach. And every time she had a question about a particular matter and she looked upon that glowing sun, she knew the answer in its entirety. This included all questions of past, present, and future. So as a result, many people would come to her for counsel. Royalty, people of all stages of life, rich, the poor, everyone would come to her doorstep. She was a mother, she married, 7 children. She was poor, she was not destitute, and she focused on her duty. And so people would come to her home, she would pray with them, she would counsel them. And she prophesied things about the future that were yet to come. She heard of conversations happening in secret rooms in distant lands. She would warn people of things that were in their future. She would bring up sins of their past so that they could confess. She never used this incredible gift for selfish reasons. She never tried to elevate herself out of poverty, but she was always focused on doing the duty of the moment. Now, this is not like hearsay. It's not like she had someone heard about her in Rome and just rumors spread around and they started talking about Blessed Anna Maria Taigi. What makes her story really legitimate is that she had a cardinal in Rome, Cardinal Pedicini, who journeyed with her for 30 years. So when she died, it was his deposition for her canonization that was really prominent. And so we have firsthand witness of a cardinal talking about her life. So the stories that we have are really legitimate. They're not rumors. They don't just float around. They come from a cardinal who is well respected. And regarding this gift, I think it's important to understand this is what he said about it. Cardinal Pedicini wrote, "We may say that this gift was one of omniscience, for it was knowing of all things in God, insofar as intelligence is capable of such knowledge in this life." So it's really hard for us to understand what this gift would entail, the great consolations that might come with it, or also the weight of it. But nonetheless, the Cardinal said it was true, it was real, and it was remarkable. We also learn from her life that the devil hated her and would attack her in many, many different ways. Sometimes at night he would appear under evil forms and terrorize her. Other times he would appear under a good form, appearing as though he was a priest or a bishop or a cardinal to give her counsel that would lead her away from Jesus. But what I found, one area that we haven't touched, is another way that the devil would try and distract her. Regarding demonic attacks, it is related in particular how in the summer, the demons, would send swarms of flies and other insects to assail her, which would enter eyes, nose, ears, hoping perhaps thereby to cause a momentary distraction or a movement of impatience, or failing this, at least to afflict and plague. So we've heard stories of demons appearing to saints and trying to scare them and assaulting them, sometimes physically. But here we have Blessed Anna Maria. She did experience those things. But here we have another tactic, which I'd never heard of before. The demons would send insects and flies and to swarm around her to distract her from what? Jesus. Just doing the duty of the moment. This is what they were trying to distract her from. Oh, I imagine if you had swarms of flies trying to get into your nostrils, that might be a little distracting. It might cause impatience. We might not experience these type of attacks, but maybe the flies come to us in different ways, which try and distract us from the duty of the moment. How about this? Anger. Something festers in our life and it distracts us in our minds, and we all of a sudden we forget like the duty of the moment as we are as a father or mother. How about jealousy? Our mind goes to something else, of something else somebody has, and it just robs us of being present to the people in front of us. How about worry or anxiety? These things propel us to future events that have yet to come. All the meanwhile, we're missing the duty of the present moment. Unforgiveness, bitterness, pride, greed, the lust to have more, forgetting what we have right now. Most of us don't have demonic flies swarming around our eyes and ears trying to get in, but the flies come in different ways, as you see. So here's the question for you. What are the flies that are distracting you from the duty of the present moment? And now maybe you can perhaps start to identify a couple. Now, the call to action, what can you do? Seek your friend, your new friend, Blessed Anna Maria Taigi's intercession. She had the flies that were swarming about her. She overcame them by being focused on the duty of the moment. So she overcame this. Ask her intercession that you would remain faithful to what God has placed before you. Now, with this gift, what else can we learn about Blessed Anna Maria Taigi? She had great moments of consolation. But it's described that these great moments of consolation that happened in her life were like lightning strikes. They were here one moment and then gone the next. And this lightning strike of God's grace upon her soul had an unusual effect. Well, actually more maybe a predictable effect if we are a little bit aware of the spiritual life. It caused her to want God even more, which in itself was a type of suffering. True, she continually had celestial locutions, particularly at the time of communion. But instead of the spiritual delights, which heretofore she used to enjoy, she was wrapped in the most painful contemplations, by means of which God discovered to her evils of the world, the scourges prepared, the sins of people, especially those of ecclesiastics. So sometimes Blessed Anna Maria was given this great consolation. She suffered because she wanted God even more. And then sometimes she was shown the horrors of sin, which caused her to suffer in this way. Interesting, when you have a saint and they see the nature of sin, you never find a saint delighting in this. Saints respond slightly differently. You look at their writings and how they respond to sin. Everyone's a little bit different, but there's a common thread. None of the saints loved sin because it was an offense. It is an offense against God. And with Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, she was particularly sensitive to the horrors of sin, caused her great suffering. How different our world is today. Because our world has lost its sensitivity to sin. In fact, the world seems to be entertained by sin. You just think of these things right here. We scroll through this, and then what catches our attention, or what catches most people's attention? A glorification of evil. Just think about trying to find a good movie to watch that has clean language. It's almost impossible. You think about how the family, which is the building block of society, is portrayed in social media and on the movies. When's the last time you saw a family united as a father and mother in a movie? It never happens. You see, brokenness is constantly, or disorder is constantly shown as the norm. 20% of the scrolling that happens on here, according to recent statistics, is for the use of finding 20%. So what the devil is doing is he's entertaining us with evil. How different the world of Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, where she was horrified by sin. If we find ourselves desensitized to the evils and horrors around us, and that we just skip by mortal sin as though it is nothing, then we can ask her intercession to grant us a more sensitive heart to love. Wouldn't it be nice to love what Jesus loves and hate what Jesus hates? That is what we should be wanting in the spiritual life, loving what Jesus wants, hating what Jesus hates. But what ends up happening is that we live in the world and we end up loving what the world loves and hating what the world hates. And if you haven't noticed, what the world wants and what Jesus wants are vastly different right now. To hear a word spoken against any truth of the faith was unutterably painful to her, so that what she endured in this way can only be compared to being scourged with a hot iron. Blessed Anna Maria Taigi being greatly troubled when someone or she would hear something said contrary to the Holy Catholic Church. So much so that it was compared to a hot iron. I'm not saying that all of us need to respond this way, but we should all be troubled when we hear things contrary to what our Holy Church teaches. The Catholic Church is instituted by Christ. It's His church to lead us to heaven. It's not insufficient in faith and morals in any way. It's not insufficient in grace. It's not insufficient in leading us to heaven. It is the greatest gift that God has given us. The most sure way to heaven, the sacraments, the teaching authority of the church, our Blessed Mother. I mean, these things eternally matter. And how often the world criticizes the church, throws her teachings out the window. And then we slip into an apologetic mode because it seems, the church just doesn't quite fit into the world. And so we have to conform the church to be more likable and more pleasing and more acceptable to the masses. That's not how it works, friends. We are not to conform to the world. The world is to conform to Christ. Whether we are in the minority or the majority, it doesn't matter. Right now, we're in the minority. But the majority in heaven, all have conformed themselves to Christ. All. That's the goal. So when we find ourselves in positions where we have find ourselves apologizing for the faith, making excuses for the faith, and we find ourselves not even being moved by some sort of distress because people are criticizing the church. Well, that's just the way it is. Maybe we need to be a little bit more sensitive, like Blessed Anna Maria Taigi. Maybe it should bother us. Like how? Like someone criticizing your mother. If someone criticizes your mother for no good reason, isn't there some great injustice that rises up within you? Say, hey, don't do that. And you defend your mother. And so we have Holy Mother Church, who's being constantly criticized. And so what do? We apologize. We enter into unending dialogue with the world. Instead, I think we just have to proclaim the truth simply and charitably and not roll over. Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, she didn't withdraw from the world. She welcomed the world to her home to convert them. She wasn't dialoguing with the world. You read the writing. She wasn't dialoguing. She was there to convert the world, convert every person who showed up at her home. That's what a true disciple does. Converts people to Jesus. So friends, I hope this new chapter of her life is a blessing to you. If you'd like to learn more about her life, remember there's 6 other videos linked in the description below, also at the end of this video. More to come from Blessed Anna Maria Taigi, but for today, thank you for watching.